You'll start. You need these.
So welcome back to Geek and Son, to another day of necessary but boring sanding. I'll show you. I've got the hood and the top of the fenders, the roof, the deck lid, the Dutchman panel, the fins. They're sanded. This needs to be sanded down to 180, but it is down to 120. So I'm going to sand the hood and the top of the fenders to 180, and then are we going to go to 220? Probably not. I think 180 is good for what I want, because then I'm going to do mud, and you know, that fiberglass mud to fill in any imperfections, like this is a little low spot, and maybe those. Some of them I'll try to bang out. There's high spots here, any of that. There's one here. I'll go through all the car, and I'm not going to put a lot. We're talking paper thin. And then, you know, you can see even some on the roof from here. It's gone through its stages of, you know, sanding the paint off to bare metal, then sanding that down. But once you put the epoxy on, it looks good. Oh, it's like, wow, it's so good. But then when you start sanding the epoxy, then you can see some of the flaws that I thought were not there. I mean, I guess I didn't think they weren't there, but I was hopeful. After that, we'll get on the rest of the fenders, the doors, the quarters, below the trunk. I still have to fix the trunk lid because it sticks up in one corner. And I've been trying to adjust that, but I just realized maybe this one is just too low. So if I raise this one, when I close the trunk, maybe that one will be at the right height. I'll have to figure that out sooner or later. But again, this has all been sanded down. This is good. For a 65-year-old car, I mean, it's amazing. I'll let you watch me sand for a minute, but it gets kind of boring, and then I'll move on to the next thing. For you, it'll be an instant. Thanks for watching. Okay, I need some guide coat. Always use guide coat, even if you think you're fancy. I think I'm pretty good at this too. And I always do a better job when I get the guide coat. Even with this epoxy that almost works as its own guide coat, I still find it beneficial to have it on there, because it really tells you what's too low, what's too high. I have a big problem with over sanding. I don't know, I want it to be perfect, and then I go too far. I also have to figure something to do with this. Does anybody know, does this pop out right here? This grill looking thing? Or, because I know a lot of them are chrome. Mine is not chrome. You don't need to bury the guide coat, but buried in guide coat. But it's better than more than not enough. But again, the more you put, the more you got to sand off. And if you've gone down to bare metal, it doesn't really cover bare metal. It doesn't work like that. I've got some fans blowing just for the extra dust removal. Again, I'm just a dude in his garage, so I don't have a big shop. Been watching a lot of the videos on Hellcat installation, and I thought maybe I would do the cradle, the rear cradle, like Ferb's Garage did. But I think it's going to be too difficult. I will do something like an 8 3/4 rear end, like it's got, but do it a sure grip, and then put some QA1 suspension or some kind of 4-link on there. And then the front we'll have to do a fancy one too. I know on Graveyard Cars, Mark had that guy, I forget his name, and don't be offended if you're watching this, the guy with the long hair from the 70s who brought all that stuff in one time for the Superbird. I have to look and see what his name is. That might seem kind of weird, but anyway, I just remember a guy that was really cool. Maybe his name was Ron. Anyway, he did a bunch of the K member stuff, suspension stuff, and I'll have to look into that. It wasn't for the Christine, but when Graveyard Cars built the Christine, they didn't change any suspension. The Hellcat and the transmission fit right in, and I believe it was an 8 HP 90, or I don't know, we'll see. But I do want this to be the Hellcat, of course, with an 8-speed automatic, and it's got to have an 8 3/4 sure grip, at least. Maybe a Dana, I don't know, but I'm thinking 8 3/4 with a good rear suspension, a good front suspension. And I'll do a standalone kit, so it will still have its 700 horsepower, or 800, or whatever it is. Depends on if it's a red eye. I was trying to bid on some today, and I'm still not really good at that. I'll have to figure that out. And they're a pain to get a hold of, which makes me a little nervous there. Anyway, if any of you have a good Hellcat engine and transmission you want to donate, there's one of these channels out there. These guys are good. They're silly, kind of like me, and they're doing a lot of them. The guy's building a red eye that was burnt. So, thanks for watching. I'm gonna just go ahead and sand now. Get this body rolled out, and it's gonna be beautiful. Maybe I get a little of this. Well, let's see what we've done. We got the fender done, passenger fender, the hood, part of that, the roof. Now I'm gonna work on the passenger door, passenger quarter, sand it down to 120 and then 180. And these are already done. That fender, the top of it's done, but the side isn't. When I get this done here, I'll move it over and I'll be able to fit over there. Ain't this fun? Yes, I'll be wearing a mask because I don't want to breathe this crap in. Well, we're back. I've been sanding and sanding and sanding. I got to do a little bit more here on what I would call the tail light panel, and then this whole side, and then we'll be ready for mud. The roof, the trunk, the deck lid. Did I say the trunk? The Dutchman panel, all that. The hood, the whole other side. I did 120 grit first, then I did 180 grit first after that. So that is all sanded down to 180, which I think I should have probably done 80 and then 120. So it's actually better than it needed to be. But after that, I'll put on some fiberglass filler in the places that need it. Sand that down probably with 180 or 220, probably 180. That makes sense because then it'll be all 180. Maybe even hit it with 120 and then 180, the other places I sand. We'll see what happens. And then it will be ready for the sprayable filler. I hope I have some. Got a big mess here. Who knows what I have? Have to look in there. But we'll get that sprayable filler going. And then it'll be all one color again, of course, which looks pretty to everyone. But this is actually better at this point because it's fine-tuning the body. Whereas before it looked pretty good, but it just wasn't where we want it to be. I've been looking at a lot of Hellcat swaps online, and so, I mean, I planned on doing it anyway, but now I'm really going to do it, where I have an idea of what needs to be done. It's going to take a lot of reinforcement. I'm going to have to change probably all the front suspension. It'll be cool. Yeah, so that's what's going on. There's no reason for you to watch me sand. It's just boring. But keep it tuned here at Geek and Son. We're going to be, if I win the bid on some of these Hellcats, we'll do videos on going to pick them up and, you know, stripping them down, whatever we end up doing. Some of them I may make and keep or resell. I'd love to have a Hellcat Charger or a Challenger. It'd be sweet. Even if I just keep it temporarily and then resell it, you make a profit on them. They're so, you know, they hold their value. All right, thanks for watching. Bye. So I don't know if I forgot how backbreaking the sanding is. It makes me want to use a DA, but I want it to be so perfect, so I'm not going to do that. But this is, what, almost 3 hours of sanding to 120. Just the fender and the door. And I feel like it's almost going backwards, because now you can definitely see all of the weld marks from the trim and anything, any imperfections. And then here's the regular epoxy. And I think the biggest problem with this is when you sand epoxy, you get these little gumballs in the paper, and then you have to blow them off or scrape them off. Otherwise it sands unevenly. So that's why a lot of people don't sand epoxy. But if you take the time and do it right, I mean, look at the General. It took me hundreds of hours of sanding, from epoxy to the sprayable filler to regular primer to I sanded the paint, I sanded the clear, I buffed the clear. I mean, that sounds like a short list, but that took hundreds of hours. And this car will be no different. But I think I'd forgotten, maybe not forgotten, blocked it out. How hard it is on my shoulders, on my knees, on my back, on my and this is just the first round, really. I mean, I got to go back and do this to 180, and this still needs to go down to 120. Once this is done, the whole car will be to 180, other than the taillight panel needs to be done a little bit more. And then I go back over it with 180, and then I'll be able to do some regular fiberglass filler. There's really not much where it needs fiberglass filler, which is good for me. And then I think once I do that, I'm going to spray it again with the epoxy, but get it in, I think it's 3 days time before I have to sand it. And then on top of that, we'll put the sprayable filler. And then, I don't know, I have to look at the sheets, but, you know, what do you call it, the tack sheet, or what it's called. Again, I'm not a professional painter guy. I'm just a guy in my garage. Gonna put a Hellcat in a Christine. A couple people have done it. As far as I know, I'll probably be the third person to do it, and it ain't gonna be easy. I've thought about, well, maybe I'll put just a you know, a modern 5.7 Hemi. It'll be like less than half the price. But then, you know, nah. But a Hellcat. This thing will be badass, and a red-eye Hellcat if I can get one. So anyway, it's gonna be great. I just need to keep focus and keep pushing the hours in, and then it will look like the General. I think I really have decided, we'll see once I get the Hellcat in here, but I think once I get the Hellcat in here, I'm gonna put one in the General too, because I've been learning and watching other people's stuff, and that Hellcat is such a good engine. Good gas mileage, and, you know, 800 horsepower, depends on which one you get. 707, 717, 800. You go Elephant, you get 1,000. That's a lot of horsepower. This car probably came with like 130 or something originally, so I'm gonna have to really beef it up, which I will. The whole suspension will have like a modern suspension, front and rear, modern brakes, look old, interior look old, except for if I buy a Challenger, I may use the front buckets out of it, because there's another guy that has one and I really like it. It's Ferber's Garage. I don't know if he wants me to say that, but I'm saying it. Thanks for watching. Go back to sanding. Hi. So as I'm in here sanding this enormous quarter panel, I'm listening to Bad Chad on the computer over here. And I can't tell you how much it meant to me to hear him say, chase your dreams. That's what I've been telling my students for years. And I'm kind of at a critical point right now in my own life where I've been a teacher for a while now, and I'm kind of, I don't know, done with that, kind of just because I feel like I've done all I can do, and it's a lot of different things. But don't get me wrong, I love teaching a lot of the time, but sometimes it's torture. Anyway, I'm looking at an adventure right now that will be coming up on this channel, so I'll just let you know it has to do with a big project, and as I call it, a big boy project. It's not messing around in your garage building cars you want. I mean, it is, but it's on a way bigger scale. And Bad Chad, I know this might sound dumb, but Bad Chad kind of pushed me the rest of the way, where I'm like, okay, not getting any younger, gotta get back to being self-employed. So that's what I'm doing. And I just want to thank Bad Chad and Jolene for being that inspiration that I needed. Thanks for watching. Hi. So today, let's see, I'm gonna do some mud right here after I fix the lighting, because obviously it's not very good. I'll do some right there, down here, and the door and the fender. So basically, driver's side mud. Then let that dry, then sand it. To you, it'll be instantaneous. Oh, I forgot to change. For you, it'll be quick. For me, it's going to be hours. But that's okay. It's what I like, right? So I'm sitting here sanding, right? Yesterday or whenever that was. And I'm like, what am I doing? Somebody should buy this car and I'm just going to be done. So I got to admit, when you get in the middle of some of this stuff, I kind of feel like quitting. Like, sell this damn car. What am I doing? I've already got 2 muscle cars. Do I need 3? But then I'm like, where am I going to ever find another 58 Plymouth that is basically rust-free, floors are done, no body damage except a couple little dings that I'm going to put a Hellcat in. It's going to be so badass, I can't even tell you. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm in a mood right now, I think, because this will be one of the best cars I've ever seen when I'm done. It looks good now. You tell me what you think. You want to buy it? How much you think it's worth? Bare metal, basically. It's basically got epoxy and bare metal. Pretty soon it'll be an epoxy again. How much is it worth? $5? $100,000? 300,000? 83 cents? I don't know. Oh, I did something interesting today. This is completely off topic, but the money thing made me interesting. Remember, I went to stop to get a drink at a 7-Eleven. Hopefully you have a 7-Eleven, so you know what I'm talking about. I didn't have my debit card with me, and I didn't have my watch with the fancy app. So I found $10 in my glove box. I'm like, oh, good. I'm like, good, I have $10. I went in, and it felt weird to pay with cash. It feels like you're actually spending money. When you do your card, beep, or your watch or whatever, it feels like nothing. Is that bad that we're being trained as a society to feel like, it doesn't mean anything when you spend something? Think about that. Thanks for watching. All right. Hopefully we can get a good angle. I'm going to be putting the mud on. Am I an expert? No, not really. Got a little better bit. Now that I have a little better lighting, I just got this fiberglass mud. You want to fold it, of course. You don't want to stir it or whatever. This stuff is super strong, beautiful, and you almost can't even tell it's there. And that's how I do it is, I sand it down probably too much, so it is just paper thin, so it looks good. And you're not going to run into any problems down the road, cracking and whatsoever, like that kind of stuff. It's already getting a little too thick. This is the first time I've done any kind of mud work since it was warm. I did kind of a preliminary on this. And I like to see how level it is with this old thing. It's just from good old Lowe's. There's like a low spot right here I need to address. And then this little crease that you can't even see right now, but I know it's there. So let's put some right here. Just very thin layer. And again, the more you put on, the more you gotta sand. So you decide. Is it gonna be showroom perfect? Is it gonna be really good? Is it gonna look like shit and be an inch thick? It's really up to you. And this is some of the best artistry. I saw a guy doing it on YouTube today, and I was like, boy, you suck at this. And you're teaching people? Now some of you might say, well, you suck at this. Well, maybe I do compared to you. It's a skill level. It's also art. So, yeah. You don't want to make too much. I may have made too much this batch because I want it to get too hard before it gets on there. This will harden up in about 15 minutes. And the more you fold it in, too, because it's doing one of those fancy pants words, exothermic reaction. It's hard to see this dent, but I can sure feel it. So we'll just fix that right up with some Bondo, just like in the olden days. No, I don't want you to think I'm just, filling these holes. I've worked a lot on this stuff, trying to fix it the right way. I probably take too much time, but this car's gonna be wearing my name on it, so I want it to look really good. I don't want it cracking off in 5 minutes, so I have to redo the damn thing. That looks pretty good. Anyway, you get the point. We'll be back in a minute when it's sanding time. Here we are, back on the 58. Welcome back to Geek and Son. Got the fans blowing. The weather's kind of broken a little bit so I can breathe. I put up today on the old Facebook, should I sell the Plymouth? People are like, no, don't do it. Send me messages to not give up. It's not a matter of giving up. I love this car. But it's the money, honey. Money, honey. Woo. Money, honey. So I need to fund another project. So do I sell this one to get the capital out of it? I'll bet you it'd bring 20 grand pretty easily. Somebody's out there looking for it like I was. I'm telling you, I looked for this car for more than 10 years. There's another one that is near me, and they won't even talk to me, and I've known where that is for 11 years, well, probably 12 years by now. When I saw this one, I mean, I was in the car on the way to go get it after seeing it for a couple of days, and that was probably slow. So today I got some more mud, very thin, over some of these. There's like a little crease right here that just bugs me. This is probably unnecessary, but I was in a mood. Same with that. It's mainly down here where it's just kind of an uneven feel, and where the trim was, and a little bit on the top of that fender. So I'm gonna sand it down to 120, then 180, and then reapply if I need to. And then if it works, then I'll move on to, I don't know, none of this really needs it. I'll probably move the car back to the other side and gonna go over there. There's not a lot of room in this garage, but it's better than when I was a kid working with my butter knife and my vice grip, or my butter knife and my crescent wrench in the mud, if I was lucky. There's nothing really to see here. Sanding is so boring to watch. But once I get to the point where I'm putting a Hellcat in this baby, whew, it's gonna look good. I'll get this sanded down, then we're gonna spray another coat of epoxy over it. And then I won't sand that. I'll just get it within the 48-hour window and spray the sprayable filler over it. And actually it's kind of a nice day today, so I could do it today if I can get it ready. And I don't have to necessarily do the whole car at once. If I just did this whole side and then got the other side, that'd be fine. Same with this. Obviously I have to clean it and get all this crap off of it. Doesn't really need to be masked because there's nothing to, there's no interior. I don't give a crap about the tires, so I guess that's all. Thanks for watching. It's a weird day. Welcome back to this Geek and Son. Why is that hanging out right there? That's bad. This is my Super Sport for my Nova. I want them falling all over the place. I think I dumped that box the other day looking for stuff. Anyway. Oh, because there's the battery charger. The boy. That makes more sense. So we're now on the passenger side. And the driver's side, I sanded all the way back down. So it was the whole car was in epoxy, right? After I put a little bit of mud on before and then put in epoxy. That sounds like nothing, but I mean, I sanded the whole car down to bare metal, fixed all the dents, welded some holes, redid the floors, redid the rockers inner and outer, blah, blah, blah. It's an epoxy primer, like that. So then I sanded that down to 120 and then 180. And then some of the imperfections were bothering me. So I'm put some more of that fiberglass mud on it. Just makes it strong. It's better than regular filler that's going to crack. Still, don't build your car out of it. But it's good to make it the surface perfect. And after this, I'll be doing the sprayable filler, which will make it even better than that. So this side of the car, I need to straighten out that door because it's just not closed all the way. How do you do that? Well, you adjust it. So let's look. Yeah. So I was going to show you how we adjust the door. Of course, the fender doesn't want me to show you how to adjust the door because it's against me. It's not adjusted. We open it. There we go. And now we just put a new dent in it. That's wonderful. This Coke machine, I don't even know what I'm thinking by keeping it. It was cool at one point to have a Coke door there, and now it's just kind of in the way. In fact, I think I should move it out. Anyway, in order to move this door, I need to adjust the hinges. So if you watch, it shuts fine, but at the bottom needs to go in some more. So how do we do that? Well, this needs to come out a little more. So you think maybe by adjusting that bottom in, would that do it? Or adjusting the top one out, would that do it? Or both? That's the question. It's always, I mean, I don't even have the door straight on the general. This is one of my not really good at this kind of things. But again, like anything else, trial and error. And you just kind of figure it out. Let's see. Sorry, fender. So as you can see, all these floors are super solid. I sprayed that that texturizing stuff over, and some of it's cracked up. But I mean, it doesn't matter at all. It'll be all be covered. Covered with the sound deadener stuffy. I feel like if I adjust it on the doors, I'm gonna wish I did not do that. But the bottom mainly needs to come in. So if I just move, let's see, that one would obviously probably go that way and that way. But that one could go that way and that way. I think as far as the bylines go, it's straight. So, but it needs to go in. So I'm thinking if I just adjust those bolts right there and tap it in just a hair, then it should go. What do you think? You're not here to help though. Where have you been? I don't know if this is the original door or not. It's got these weird things drilled in it or whatever. Maybe, who knows why they put them there. It is a black door, so probably the original. The outside, I had to fill in all those holes for the trim. Something weird about these doors that I don't get either. If you have to do this to open it, right? Then why does it go this way? Doesn't make any sense to me. The window does go up. It's a little rusty, but I think that might polish right off. I think it's just surface rust. When we get to that point, I'll let you know. So, let me see if I can find some WD and spray it on those bolts. And then next time we get around to it, we'll go ahead and adjust the door in a little bit. And the reason I want to do that, is because when I'm sanding, I want it to be smooth all the way across. Which may be a pipe dream or any other kind of dream. Life is but a dream. In this little garage in here, it's hard to work, it really is. But when I was a kid, I mean, I'm basically on the cement with a ground full of stones, just in case I need to do the top, which I don't think I will, but can't hurt. I was basically on the snow-covered ground with rocks, and all I had was a butter knife and a crescent wrench. I could change the name of this channel to Butter Knife and Crescent Wrench. I know I like to overdo this, because this stuff really needs to get some lubrication. Alright. See, even just shutting it, it's pretty damn close. I could just move that bottom in. It might even be as much as adjusting the latch so it goes in a little more, if that's even a thing. Could be those, could be these. This doesn't look like it moves though. And I'm completely sure that it will be a complete chore to put the door handles back on when I get that point. Anyway, let's talk about what we're really here for, which is putting some more mud on this. Let me put this away first. So the real reason we're here today is to clean up this side again. Now the holes on the front fender I'm leaving because they will definitely have the trim in them. And this will have the trim on it too, going all the way back to here. But I don't have the trim to get the holes ready, which I probably should get pretty quick. This bottom right here, I replaced a big chunk of at the bottom, and so because it was kind of dented and rusty. And right here, you look at that big piece in the middle. And probably no one else would notice it, but to me, it's a big dent. And I'll run my hand. Let's do it right now. Run your hand on to kind of feel. Just barely kind of has a dip in it right here. And you can't really get behind it. The sprayable filler will make a big difference. But I want to have it even better than that before I even get to that. For example, this other side over there has a dent that I've hammered out and put some mud on the top of. Nobody else would even see it. To me, it's just glaring. Kind of like the General, when I would have just a little imperfection, glaring whateverness would just bother me. Now, being a perfectionist in this realm, it's not that bad, unless you're just trying to flip the car. But I'm trying to make this car as beautiful as possible. For a guy in his garage, this quality is far above what most people I think would do. Except maybe Fury Jim himself. And he's done tons of these cars. I've even thought of selling this car, but then I think I would regret it too much. The other day, I've been approached with another business opportunity, but I need some money, need some capital. I have this car that I really like, but would not kill me to sell. But I don't want to. There's got to be another way, right? But Somebody else might get it and be like, yeah, because you cannot find a 58 anywhere. It's impossible. I mean, I had to go to Canada to get this one, and it was in pretty rough shape. But I've since repaired everything. There's no rust. Floors are brand new. Rockers in and out are brand new. Good fenders on it, and everything else. So, what do you do? Well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean the surface off of the car, this whole side, and then I'm going to go ahead and just lightly put a skim coat of mud where I feel like it needs it.
Beavis, life just keeps getting better.